revolutionizing the climate in Sur Baja. That is more than most people can tolerate right there.
Let us suppose that, God forbid, the politics of going there and getting it done were adverse to this.
Well, you wouldn't go there unless you could
Right.
get a clean shot at it.
Correct.
There would be no point in that.
But let's talk
Just
about...
like there's no point in doing it anywhere in the U.S. for that reason.
So let's talk about another offshore location. Let us talk outside the United States of America, another place or two that you would recommend is suffering in some way.
Well, I think Malaysia is a very good place to work. Very good place to work, because you could keep them free of drought very, very readily using their own Air Force planes and with a just minimal investment.
I would think that in Malaysia, that would be the least thing that they would suffer from would be drought.
Oh, no, they have severe droughts there because of the terrain that they have laid bare with the smashing down of the trees and everything like that. They've laid bare thousands of acres that they didn't even think about before because they were covered with rubber trees. That's one thing that's happened there. And it's surprising, really, that you do get astonishingly intense droughts in tropical climates.
See, I would have never thought that, and I don't think anybody listening would have associated drought with an intense climate.
That's right.
Like that.
That's right. That's another place that we could work. See, we've already worked in China, and that's not too good a situation, I don't think.
You don't think the receptivity is sufficient?
No. Although they know all about the qi there. It's just that now you have a mechanistic overlay has come into Chinese science and things like that, and they have lost their way to that extent.
This is a hard question, but what happens when Trevor James Constable passes away?
Oh, nothing. They'll bury me.
What happens?
No, nothing.
What happens to weather engineering? What happens to smog eradication? What happens to fog elimination?
It'll go back into the unknown and stay there for a while and come back out again when some valiant individual brings it out. It'll be reborn. It can't be stopped. Some people, want to stop it. They delight to stopping it, and that is a fact. But they will not succeed because it's part of the human future.
Would you be interested if somebody were able to arrange a way inside the United States for an area that was heavily smogged, really heavily smogged, bad? If that area and the powers that be in that area were to become open or receptive to truly eradicating the smog and measuring...
No, it isn't going to happen.
You don't think so?
No, it isn't going to happen. Because smog is an industry. Smog is a business.
How so?
And
how so for those of us who are listening?
Well, that's just like they got frightened of what we were doing when we were working here before. We had 3 very spectacular years here dealing with smog. And the smog people didn't even want to know us. They didn't want anything to do with it. And especially when we brought it down by 24% in 1 year.
Do you think it could be brought down more with
more
work?
Oh, yeah, no question about it. Just a question of we did that with, I think George Wu put up $25,000, $35,000 for that.
And that's when you put the different instruments?
That put...
14 instruments?
Yeah, 14 stations.
14 stations.
Yeah.
And do they have to be manned on an hourly basis?
No.
Or you just put them there and let them do
their
thing?
They just need to be, secure. That's, they could be on roofs and that sort of thing, and where nobody could see them. That could be done.
If those particular devices don't hurt anybody, and they don't hurt anything, why can't that be sold to the lay public? Why couldn't I put one on my house?
Well, you can if you want to. Sure you can. Sure you can put it on your house.
Just in the way you would get like a garbage disposal or something like that. I mean, a lot of people don't take whole garbage and just throw it out in the street.
No.
We have a process
Unless
for
they're in Mexico.
There's a process for that.
Uh-huh.
So why couldn't there be a process for, at the individual level, for an individual to take personal responsibility for what they can do, and they put a station on their house or wherever, and the individual takes this in their hands and not
Well, it would probably be just fine until they found out exactly what you were doing. Especially if you were successful, you would attract their attention, and then there'd be all kinds of regulations would be adduced that would tell you that you couldn't do that.
What could these things cost? Let's say if I wanted to buy one and put one
$100.
$100?
Yeah, 150 max.
And this could really help eliminate smog. Now,
Yeah,
what
if
if
you
this
got
were
enough of them.
introduced in mass? Would
Pardon?
it be too much?
No,
So you couldn't hurt anything. by
no,
this.
no, nothing. Couldn't hurt anybody.
So if there were 1 million
Because
of them.
there's no power to them other than the power to turn the motor. There isn't any chemicals. There's nothing.
Right.
See, it's a geometric thing.
But if it clears smog, right?
Yeah.
And it's put in place in mass, that's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about a scenario, potential scenario. You know, what would it take if 14 could clear smog by 24%?
Mm-hmm.
What would it take in LA? Like 50 or 100?
If you put in 50, I'm sure you'd clear it completely.
50 a city?
Yeah.
Would that sound about right?
Right. Well, maybe less because we know more now than we did in 1990.
Okay. And if somebody were interested in helping bring this through, and there were receptive people in California or outside of California, would you be willing to talk with them or meet with them?
Well, it
They're
all
truly
depends on,
receptive?
people think that they're influential. They have that idea. You're speaking now of people who are influential. And they only last so long, in my experience, when they come up against the establishment, let's put it that way. They only last so long, they don't.
What, they last until the first physical
You'd have
threat?
someone like Curtis LeMay, that would be different. I would say yes, but, he's gone now.
But if we were to locate, or somebody listening to the show could locate a person of that stature who was ready, willing, and able, and receptive, ready to go, are you?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Sure.
Great.
Sure. Provided they don't send for me down at Sur Baja.
And just on a complete vision level, is there a particular place in the world, aside from Baja, California, or Baja, Mexico, where you would like to bring down a spectacular rainfall for the pure pleasure and literally the spectacular nature of it to do it? Is there a particular place?
No, I don't do things on that basis.
A place in need.
Yeah.
A particular place in need. Outside of Mexico. Is there any other place in the world?
No, not that I know of. Not that I would care to do that.
You said Mexico and Malaysia.
Yeah.
Is there a third place?
No, not really.
How about
those
Africa?
Those are the two best places that I know. And of course Hawaii, but Hawaii is so small that it's not of any consequence.
What about Africa? Because I'm sure many of the listeners are thinking about Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Africa's known as being the desert and a drought location. If there was a very big call,
it would have to be a government. It would have to be a government that did it.
Okay.
The rulers of Africa are tough and they're smart, and you're not going to be able to get away with anything with them.
You're saying the politics is too thick.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Politics is too thick. It is everywhere, really, because the people that have the juice right now are those who are trying to privatize the world's water resources.
Correct.
That's what they're out to do. And they want to charge everybody, all that the traffic will bear just to drink water.
Water may become, if we don't take hold of our power at the level of the individual, the oil, the next oil consumption.
Yeah, right.
And scramble.
Yeah, it'll be more important than oil before very long, especially if they find out how to turn it into oxygen and hydrogen.
Sounds like you know a little something about that.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuning into a segment of It's Rainmaking Time with Trevor James Constable, a weather engineer, an international historian who has had over 40 years' experience eliminating smog, fog, and has the ability to engineer rain. For those of you who are interested in moving this work further during the last chapter of Mr. Constable's life, I'd like you to call Kim Greenhouse at the station at 818-980-09